Went in expecting the worst, came out with the best. Let's review Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings. Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings stars Jeannie Pudovich, Tanika Davis, Caitlin Lieb, and is directed by Declan O'Brien. What's up, guys? We have been going down the Wrong Turn sequels. I've done 6, I've done 5, now I'm recording the review for 4. I have already done the bookends. I've done the original Wrong Turn from 2003 and the reboot, remake, whatever. I've done those. So we got what, 4, 3, 2 weeks. So we got 3 left to go. 6 was pretty much softcore porn. 5 was very interesting. Turned out better than I thought. Both those movies are kind of 3 out of 5. 4, I just went in not knowing what to expect and came out really, really pleasantly surprised. Okay, I'll go ahead and put that out there right now. Okay, now we're talking, all right? And I gotta say this, guys, I'm having fun going through this series. I avoided these sequels for the longest time because I never heard anybody hooting and hollering about them. And I always expected them to be kind of like what we got with Hellraiser, that franchise, which is just painful to get through, okay? I've reviewed all those movies before. I even tried, like before the new Hellraiser came out, I tried to go and do kind of a vlog style series, just kind of rewatching those, and I made it through like maybe 2 or 3 of the movies. I couldn't even go any farther. Plus, the new movie had already come out. Damage has been done. But anyway, we're gonna do Wrong Turn 4. One thing I like about these movies too is you always have a little bit of a different premise. They rarely ever even kind of reference the past. As a matter of fact, I've even heard that this is actually a prequel, but it never really comes out and says it. Guys, school me, educate me, okay? Is this actually a prequel? I mean, I know the beginning of the movie, we start out kind of exploring, you know, in the 70s, Three Finger, One Eye, and Sawtooth, the brothers. I can't remember their last names. I'm not gonna look it up, but yeah, we explored them. But when we go to the quote unquote present day, I'm still not sure if this is actually a prequel or not, okay? And I don't think it even matters, really, you know? And they do call the movie Part 4, so that's when it gets really strange. Remember in Missing in Action, they shot the second movie first, and then they shot the first movie, but they ended up releasing the first movie that was actually supposed to be the sequel because the beginning didn't get the reception that they had hoped for. I'm confusing the hell out of you, I know, okay? But that's kind of what we're dealing with here with the Wrong Turn franchise, guys, okay? Jesus. But back to what I was saying, I like that this one is set in the snow, in the cold, even though most of the movie is inside this sanitarium. What's cool is they actually found an abandoned sanitarium to shoot this movie in. I mean, as a filmmaker, that's just gotta be fun, you know? You get to have carte blanche, you don't have to like fix anything back up that much when you leave, like when you do in somebody's house, domicile. For the most part, it was really, really cold. Like if you watch the behind the scenes on this, they were freezing when they did this movie. I think Declan, the late Declan, said that it was the coldest environment he had ever been in. And he was happy to be shooting a film. And it just made me think back when I was in the military. I was kind of going from one place to another, and we had to stop in Kyrgyzstan. Didn't know how cold Kyrgyzstan was going to be. Oh my Lord. That was the coldest place I've ever been and probably ever will be for the rest of my life. Just to give you an idea, when I walked outside of my tent, you could immediately feel the liquids inside your body start freezing up. Never experienced that in my entire life, probably never will again. I live in Florida. I'll stay in Florida. Thank you very much. But some of you that are familiar with Kyrgyzstan in January, you probably know what I'm talking about. But anyway, quick plot synopsis. Now, as far as like, you know, the story goes, it's kind of similar than the rest of them. You know, the group of young people, they're going snowboarding, you know, and somehow they end up at this sanitarium. Because I think things break down or something like that. I don't dig too deep into the story, you know, the actual, like what these teenagers do. I just know that they're gonna be in deep shit wherever they are because these inbred cannibals are gonna come after them. That's all I need in a Wrong Turn movie. You know, I don't need to go deeper than that, all right? But yeah, they're stuck in this sanitarium. By the way, like the other movies that I've seen, this movie opens up with, you guessed it, a sex scene. And it's actually 2 sex scenes going at the same time. You got a lesbian thing going here, and then you got this other couple in the same room going to town. And I think maybe that thinking is, once we're in this sanitarium, we're not probably going to have too much time to do that stuff, even though there is a lesbian scene in that too. But let's go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off with that stuff and start off the movie with that, okay? Because I guess there's a core audience that wants that stuff, and they just need to get it out there. It's kind of silly. And guys, I'm not going to lie, the first portion of this movie is pretty painful, just because these characters are paper, and I mean paper thin, okay? Paper thin. And so it's hard for you to like grab onto anything, you know, for quite a while. But then there's always one scene that kicks everything into high gear, and then all that stuff, all that concern goes right out the window. You're reminded what you're here for, and you get an extra helping of it, which is nice. You know, I'll start out with the cons on this one. Usually I'll start out with the pros, but yeah, that's the con here. The one big con is that for a good portion, it's hard to grab on, and the characters, paper thin. Acting, it's okay, it's sufficient, that's fine. But I said earlier, this one is probably the best Wrong Turn movie, even better than the first in my mind, as far as what I'm looking for in a Wrong Turn movie. Now, dumb decisions are made, of course. You know, they somehow have to split up. Like there's one part in the movie where they're already a little scared, and they say, let's everybody just split up because we'll cover more ground that way, okay? Actually, we'll die easier that way, because that's what they're doing. They want to go down, you know, one person each hallway, so that way the mountain men can get to them. But luckily, you know, they come to their senses and they end up kind of huddling together anyway. Why even make them make that decision just to fix itself when you could just cancel both those things out? I don't know. See, there I go, overthinking again. But here's where the movie kicks into high gear. They're all kind of in this open bay area. They notice this shirt that's kind of like wrapped up, and there's something inside it, kind of like what happened in Blair Witch outside that tent. And then they open it up and they find their friend. You know, his body, was it his head or something like that? Then it really kicks into high gear. You got this one character. You know, barbed wire is a big weapon in these movies. I think just about every movie, except maybe one of them, actually somebody gets killed with barbed wire. And I think they actually use barbed wire twice in this movie. This scene, and then the very opening scene when a guy, his whole body is stretched out, and then, you know, his limbs are just ripped apart. Well, barbed wire goes around her neck. God, this scene's so freaking awesome. It really got me in the mood. Pulls her up, hoists her up, and then what does this idiot do, Kyle? He grabs her legs and pulls to make matters even worse. But I guess when, you know, you're in a panic, you're going to make stupid decisions, and boy, do they make them in this movie. So from this point on, I mean, this movie just never lets up. It is so freaking fun, and you could tell that the actors from this point on, they're really giving it their all. They're having a blast. You can tell that they're wanting to make a really good horror movie, and that's what you get from this point on. Just so much violence, almost action. There's one scene where this character, another stupid decision coming, guys. He's on this table, and the inbred brothers, they are filleting him, and then they're eating him, and he's screaming at the top of his lungs. I think what gets you through this craziness is the stupid decisions that make you gut laugh as it's going on, because on the other side of the door, they're like having some kind of vote, even though their friend is screaming his freaking lungs out in the next room. You know, after all this is going on too, there's another scene where one of the characters, she says, we don't want to stoop down to their level. Don't kill them. Are you kidding me? And then Kyle, luckily he's like, are you kidding me? Are you stupid? Of course we're going to kill them. You know, I liked Kyle in this movie, actually. He was badass. Oh, before I go any further, spoilers, guys, okay? All these reviews, I'm going to be talking spoilers. Anyway, about Kyle, he didn't make it that far, but he was badass. I liked him. Excuse me. It's like your favorite characters in these movies, they never make it as far as you want them to make it. You know, they always end up getting killed. And we'll get there. Now, one thing I do love about this movie compared to the other ones that I've just recently reviewed is a couple things. The cinematography looks fantastic in this movie, and maybe it's because of the cold of course, and maybe it's because inside that sanitarium, for some reason, it still looks cold. But, you know, this movie looks A-level. You know, whereas the other two movies I reviewed, they look like B movies, really bad lighting, too bright. This one, the lighting is just on point. It looks beautiful. It looks like a horror movie should look like. It just added to the atmosphere. You know, atmosphere. This movie's just filled with great atmosphere. Also, this is easily the scariest I've seen the hillbilly inbred cannibal brothers. Three fingers, sawtooth, and one eye. They are menacing as hell in this, and I can't imagine them getting any scarier. The makeup looks so much better. It's just like night and day. And if anything, this movie is a lesson in details, and just little details can really up the level of your movie. Because I was right there with them the whole time. There was nothing that took me out of the movie. They didn't take a left turn and give you a sex scene that wasn't needed. They didn't make the killer look extremely silly like in some of the other movies. You know, everything was just on point with this. And it was surprising, you know, and I have to give credit to the other movies. They do have some surprising moments that you can never predict exactly what's going to happen. Now, they're in the sanitarium for most of the movie, but then there is a point where they finally do get out of the sanitarium. They're in the wall, I guess. They break the glass, and then they're gonna dig a hole through the snow outside, and they get outside. And so it's really just them against the cannibals. And there's some gnarly kills in that scene too. There's one scene where the snowmobile is over one of the characters, and I tell you, carpet burn, it's a bitch. You know, he keeps like revving up the engine too. And you can see just blood like flying out. Brutal. But our two remaining survivors, you know, it's them against the cannibals. And you see, you know, the sun rises and you think, oh, okay, they're gonna make it out of it, right? Yeah, they're gonna make it out of it. At this point, I knew better, okay? But, you know, they do trick the guy because one of them is waiting on the other side, Sarah, and she cold cocks him with the tree branch. And so you're thinking they're home free, right? And then this ending, oh my God, this was freaking hilarious because it was just sheer stupidity that got them killed. It wasn't a hillbilly mountain man. They were just riding their snowmobile and they think they're, you know, out of the woods or out of the snow, so to speak. And of course there's a fence line with, you guessed it, barbed wire, and they both get decapitated just like that. I was just rolling. Oh my, I did not expect that at all, and it was just so fun. Guys, this movie was so freaking fun. You know, I covered these stupid character decisions, but sometimes that stuff just makes it even more fun, you know? I just had such a blast with this movie. Definitely a high purchase worthy. And I'll say right now, this even beats the first Wrong Turn for me. This is my favorite Wrong Turn movie right now as we speak. Now, some of you have told me that 2 is even better than this. I've even heard some people say that Henry Rollins kind of makes it, but I'm not the biggest Henry Rollins fan in terms of acting, so I guess we'll see what happens when we get there, okay? But having a blast doing this with you guys, all right? So anyway, let me know down in the comments your thoughts on Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings. Looking forward to hearing them. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do Free For All Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on my socials. Support me on Patreon. Buy me a coffee. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Drumdum out.